Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to look at the weekly metagame breakdown for the standard best of one format. Please bear with me, I am getting over a cold, so my voice is very kind of funny sounding, if you could. But wanted to get out a video because we haven't put one out in a couple days. So we're going to look at Untapped GG, companion tools, tracks user win rates, gives us cool stats that we can look to see what's happening in the standard best of one format. Our focus will be Diamond and Mythic rank. For this video. The video description will have the link if you want to use Untapped, as well as all the deck lists if you want to copy and paste. In terms of popularity, Mono Red, most popular deck, 13%. Izzet Prowess not far behind, along with Omni, all in that 12-13% range. We have a bit of a drop off to Red Aggro, which is Mono Red Fling. Then we have the Mono Black mid-range demons, kind of getting classified, so they're about 10% really. Mardu Aggro is Boros Auras with the Fling. And then Azorius Artifacts, the synth decks at 3%. The highest win rate deck is Azorius Omni. And it looks like the deck went back to the Invasion of Arcavios version. So for those unfamiliar, there's another win condition in the deck that doesn't require you to use your sideboard. That version there plays 2 Meringue River Regents and the Blue Saga that lets you mill 4 cards. You basically bounce the Meringues and the Saga over and over and then just mill out your opponent. This one here, basically what you're trying to do is use Abuela's Awakening on Omniscience, get it into play, cast Invasion of Arcavios, you go get Jeskai Revelation, and you basically just cast it over and over again. It's a 1-card combo at that point where it just keeps picking up the invasion and you kind of get them that way there. The rest of the sideboard cards are situational, but you don't really need them. The rest of the deck is basically a control deck, kind of looting effects. You have temporary lockdown to dig or to clean up the aggressive decks. You have ways to dig and stock up, Confounding Riddle, Moment of Truth, Philagi Digs, Chart of Course Loots, and then you have Mistrized Village that makes your spells uncounterable. So you can stick an Abuela's and then you can protect it potentially with like a Farah's Dispersal. So there's that combo deck. There is Mono Red Aggro, pretty much stock, 66%. Interesting enough, seeing only 3 Nemesis. This version's playing a full set of 4 turn inside out. Could be a concession just to the higher number of decks looking to prey upon Mono Red. It's typically the one of the most popular, so the Mono Black mid-range, anything kind of in the mirror at least lets you replace the body, and it could just push through huge amounts of damage with the double strike trample as well, but being made available through Manifold Mouse. No Soulstone Sanctuary in this version, instead just going the full rock face as well as the mountains in this particular build. We then go to Mardu Aggro, Boros Auras, so similar concept with the mouse package, not really changing this week, but you have Sheltered by Ghost, Ethereal Armor, Shard Mage Rescue, all kind of auras that buff up your mice, give them various things in terms of power boost, protection, removal. You have Feather of Flight for evasion. Scavenger gets to put counters on a whole bunch of things, then you could just fling the big creature at your opponent. It works really nice with Heartfire Hero, which deals out double the damage in that respect. Deck that hasn't shown up too often, but Selesnya Auras. So this is kind of the throw pants on thing. So what this deck gets that the Mardu Aggro doesn't have is kind of built-in protection. So some weird cards, but they have built-in ward. So the Armored Armadillo is not a huge ward cost, just 1, but pretty big body, so at least it gets around most of the red-based removal. You have Toadstool Admirer, ward 2, which can throw your opponent off curve. Similarly with Tomakal Honor Guard. This one's got the Crystal Barricade, protects your face or your creatures from red-based damage, and then this has Calyx, an Optimistic Scavenger that gets put counters on things. Calyx also can double up or make copies of your enchantments, but green gives you the advantage of Audacity. Hunter's Talon is an enchantment that can be removal and give trample, which the deck could lack at times, especially when you make a really large creature. If there's no sort of evasion, doesn't really mean much if they're blocking with a 1/1. Izzet Prowess. So this deck here, we have the Quarry Steels. So you want to cast 2 spells per turn, play a bunch of spells, power us up your board, kill your opponent. We're seeing a split of Drakecatcher and Slickshot show off. Drakecatcher is better in the mirror for the aggressive deck since you're able to go offense defense with Monstrous Rage or just the various prowess effects can give you some tokens that can help block in the kind of the creature mirrors as well. couple copies of Into the Floodmaw can bounce Temporary Lockdown, full set of Stock Up. What's crazy, so one of like the LGSs here, the big one in Canada, these are selling for $23 here in Canada. Cheapest I could find online is $16 for an uncommon. It's just wild. Nobody's opening up Aether Drift. Some cheap disruption and spell pierces, your Storm Chaser talents, and the such. So a little bit interactive. They've dropped Bolt Wave just for a little bit more interaction. While it doesn't deal as much damage to the face, Burst Lightning being able to go for creatures also has the benefit in the deck. Esper Pixie, pretty stock list, but this one's kind of tweaked for the best of one meta. We see 3 Rest in Peace. While it does turn off your Storm Chaser's talent, it does allow you to shut down the Omni decks, incidental graveyard kind of synergy decks. And in a pinch, you can also just pick it up. So you get that value. Kieran, as well as Nurturing Pixie, picks up your enchantment, so you kind of get value out of that. Repeats, this town ain't big enough. Storm Chaser loops are very strong, so Rest in Peace does turn off some of the utility of this, but you can kind of see in matchups where this is relevant, it's going to be the key card, and when it's not, you could kind of get around it still. The Kaido is the cheap card that you kind of cheat into play through the Evasive Flyers, and then taps down your opponent's stuff. So this is coming in lieu of Enduring Curiosity. So you do lose a little bit of the card advantage engine in this particular build, but it's kind of targeting the fact that Omni is a present deck in the format. Mono Black Demons, 58%. So just a little bit change in terms of removal. We see Shoot the Sheriff over Go for the Throat. I think Go for the Throat's just more flexible. There's more likely, like, for example, Rogue or Pirate. I think Slick Shot is a bird wizard, so it is not an outlaw. So I feel like there's fewer artifact creatures still going around, so it might just be better, all things considered. But the Demon package, Bloodletter plus Unstoppable Slashers, a one-hit KO. It makes them lose half their life, deals double the damage. Then you have Unholy Annex to kind of grind your opponent out. Soulstone Sanctuary is an honorary demon, so it triggers the Unholy Annex as well. Then a cool one, so Dinosaur Combo. Yes, those are words that came out of my mouth. So what you're trying to do with this deck here is draw, discard. It's a Reanimator deck, but kind of a cool thing is with Rakdos Joins Up, what you're trying to do is bring back Ghalta, which then lets you put a whole bunch of dinosaurs from your hand into play. The legendaries will legend rule themselves, and then whenever a legendary you control dies, it deals damage equal to its power. So either you can, like Gashanth, put a bunch of dinos into play, or Ghalta, put a bunch of dinos into play, then you cascade with like Trumpeting Cardosaur or Tali, the legendaries kill themselves, then you kind of get that value there. So just big stuff, things dying, get the value. So this is another deck that incidentally loses to Rest in Peace, but you hope your opponent doesn't have it. We have Azorius Artifacts. So this is the synthesizer deck. What this is trying to do is basically cast artifacts 3 CMC or more. When you do, you get tokens. Repurposing bays like Birthing Pod, but for artifacts. So you get to kind of transform these cheap ones into bigger ones, give you some value that way there, basically finding your synth as much as possible. The United Battlefront build, so Collected Company for non-creatures, so Temporary Lockdown just hits a bunch of impactful cards. The Lockdown could sweep up the aggro decks. You have targeted removal and Aegis and Perleus Snare, and then Synth just kind of goes over the top. You can kind of go up the chain. Simulacra, Solemn ramps you and draws you cards. Gearhulk can bounce stuff, and then Nexus of Becoming is kind of a card advantage engine. Then a couple of community decks that were pretty cool. This one is from Moyes. These ones all folks that got Mythic recently, 2515. Not the highest kind of win rate, but it was a cool deck. Monument to Endurance in a Dimir kind of mid-rangey shell. A bunch of ways to draw discard, so Collector's Vault, Oracle of Tragedies, the Lilianas, Steam Core Scholar, Kiora, Meringue River Regent. So with this, lets you basically just chain together. You get extra card draw, treasure tokens, or drain your opponent out. Then just a bunch of removal, some hand hates, some Shellies in there. So interesting kind of deck there. Then we have Kieran on a Sultai deck. They went 142.94. So this one here, I'm surprised that there's no Up the Beanstalk, since it works really nicely with Rakasha's Bargain and some of the top end. But just kind of a Sultai Control deck. You have Ancient Cornucopia to ramp you and gain you life, bunch of cheap removal, Fang Keeper's Familiar, Flash Threat that can either counter a creature spell, destroy enchantment, gain you life, surveil. And then you got the Frog God as kind of a win condition, indestructible, so you have a bunch of sweepers that don't hit it. Death Burger's Life, or Begets Life, another kind of sweeper, and this as your win condition. Fountain Port and the mana base as well. And then lastly, Mono Blue Tempo. This one from Alaziv's went 35 and 9 into numbered mythics, top 1,000. So kind of a tempo-oriented version. You have Bounce Off for cheap interaction, a bunch of flash creatures, things to tap down. Bloom Trick could tap down stuff. You have the Bounce package, Counterspell and Fear of Imposters, and then draw a bunch of cards off. So kind of a cool take on Mono Blue. Probably wouldn't be playing Field of Ruins. I don't think you're probably going to want more blue than anything. Myrex is a mana sink later game could be good, but I don't think you really want to fight on the axis of blowing up non-basics in this deck. That's it for the week. Quick one. Just kind of get out some deck lists. Hopefully be back once my voice fully recovered. But have a good one. Stay safe out there. We'll catch you.